What's going on, guys, and welcome to my Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse review. And this was the long-awaited review. People have wondered when I was going to cover this movie. People have wondered when I was going to review it. And now I'm here. It took me a while. I saw the video on Christmas Day. So at the time of recording this, it's December 28th. So this is going to be very interesting because I've had a long time to think about this movie, because for those of you who don't know, I do not like Miles Morales. I do not like him. I do not like him as a character, and I do not like him in any sense of the matter. Like, there is zero things. I like his parents. Like, I always thought his parents and family were cool and a great concept, and I like them as characters. But him, I never liked, because of the relationship between Gwen and Miles in the comics and how that formed. In this movie, obviously, it's a little different. So it's going to be really hard for me to distinguish between those two, because this is based off of the comic books, obviously. So I have to judge it as a comic book movie and as, you know, my own personal thoughts and as a critic. So it's many different types of things that I'm considering when I'm reviewing this movie. So I want you all to know that. Now, I'm gonna put a big warning screen here because we're gonna get into this, because I'm gonna tell you this right now. I did not like this movie as much as I thought I would. With that being said, if you guys saw my Homecoming review, you kind of know what you're in for here. you know what's coming. You know what's coming. Like, this is it. This is the big grand event. So if you guys do not like me talking trash about something you like, there's the door, or wherever your button is to click out of the video, because this is it. I'm going to go hard on this film. So I just want you guys to be prepared for that, because, like I said, I did not like this movie, and I'm going to go over the reasons why. But first, I want to talk about the characters in general. So but before I get into that, I do want to say this. Just because I don't like the movie does not mean that I'm saying that it is a bad movie. Is this a bad movie? No, it's not a bad movie. I'm going to say that right now. It's not a bad movie, okay? It's not. It's really not. But would I go back and watch it again? Even for Peter Parker? No, I'm going to say it right now. No, I would not want to go back and watch this movie again. I wouldn't, because it's so focused. It's focused on Miles so much to the point where it's like, I'm not even watching a movie. I'm just going to be watching clips online at this point, because I don't want to even see the kid. Like, that's how much I don't like him. Like, I don't even want to see him. Like, I'm done. Like this is how it is these days. They will throw him in and everything. Come on, think about it. Think about it. His comics, the games, now he's got his own movie. Really? Does anyone else find that a little suspicious? That barely half of the world knows who he is, but yet he gets a movie. Really? Really? Like, I can already think of multiple other Spider-Men who deserve a movie than Miles Morales. Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Ham. Fuck it. I'd even watch a Spider-Ham movie than this. I swear to God. I'd watch a Nick Cage noir movie. I swear, I would. I would rather watch that. Or I would rather, I don't know, just anything else. This movie, for me personally, is not a movie I would ever want to go back and watch. Just simply because it's all about Miles. It's not even it's called Spider-Verse, and it's barely about any of the other Spider Peoples. They do this little half-assed little funny comic book thing where they kind of show everybody's origin story, and then by the time you know it, it just zipped past your brain. And then it's back to Miles. Because obviously that's what the movie's about. You cannot call it Spider-Verse if the whole movie is about him. There's a huge problem there. Now, if this was Peter Parker, that's a little different. Because obviously he's the original. He's the original, right? That's the difference. Where Miles Morales is a character we never even known. Therefore, I understand why they're trying to do this whole thing where they're trying to do the whole origin story. But then again, when I go back and I think about it, they just basically redid the origin story of Peter Parker in a way. Because his uncle died, and he's, you know, a big nerd in school. Like, and he gets bit by the spider, and he figures out he's got spider powers and all that stuff, and he's got to figure out how to do that. And then he's got to fight the big bad guy at the end, yada, yada. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. They follow this formula, and it's not cool, it's not fun to watch, because I'm sitting there and I'm drawing all these comparisons, because as much as they want to say, oh, Miles Morales is a different character, he's a different character, he's a different character. Why? Because he's got two different powers? Why? Because he can turn invisible and he can shock you? That's it? And why? Because he's Latino? Like, I don't care that he's Latino. I care that he is not a unique character. He's basically just Peter Parker. Like, I've been on the internet, and the majority of the internet does not like this guy. That's just the truth. And I have not seen the box office for this movie yet. It's been a few days. I would rather wait a couple weeks before I even would make a video about the box office of this movie. But Miles Morales as a character in this movie, it's just the comics. That's just what it is. There's not much else I can say. They just pulled it straight out of the comics. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm bored. I am bored because I might as well just go read the comic book. Because that's basically what I'm watching. I'm watching the comic book. And it's not fun. Because I already know what's going to happen. Like, nothing, it's barely different. It's barely changed. The only difference is that Peter Parker's here, older and mature, and a bunch of other spider people are here. Other than that, it's the origin story of Miles Morales. There you go. That's the plot. That's the whole thing. And that's the whole movie's about him. It's not even about the background plot at all. They barely even touch on it. Which is really annoying because it's like, I would rather be wondering what's going on without the Max. I would rather be wondering, I wonder why, you know, Kingpin even knows about this whole interdimensional thing and how that even makes sense. Like there are so many unanswered questions in this movie that I sit there and I'm thinking to myself, like, they focus so much on Miles that they did not put enough attention into the background of what this is even about. That is the big problem here. It's focused on Miles too much and not enough on what's going on in the background. That's my big issue. Now, Miles Morales in general, overall, there's not much else I can say about him. He's whatever to me. I don't care, and that's why I probably would never watch this movie again. Now let's move on to something else, something positive. Peter Parker. Now we actually got two Peter Parkers in this movie. We got one who played by, he had blonde hair. You got one Spider-Man that had blonde hair. You had another Spider-Man from a different dimension, which was 616, that had the brown black hair. And the one with the blonde hair is the one that dies, obviously. And I'm assuming that that's the one that, you know, was supposed to be like a reference to Ben Reilly or whatever. And I like both of these Spider-Men as far as their voice acting. They're really good. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed their voice acting. I actually would not mind if they did come back and voice act other Spider-Man in different movies or anything like that, because they did a decent job. Now, are they my favorites, like the top 5? That's debatable, but I think they're easily on a top 10, you know, like they're really, really good, really good voice actors. Obviously the blonde one dies, so I don't want to talk too much about him, but he was pretty cool. He acted a lot like Spider-Man. Honestly, he acted more like Spider-Man than the one from 616, from Earth 616. I was actually surprised, because then when we get to him, like, he's exactly what I was afraid he was going to be. A lazy bum. A lazy bum that doesn't even care about responsibility anymore. And if you're trying to tell me that this is the Spider-Man from 616, and I've been reading the comics since, like, day one, how come he doesn't care about the responsibility of being Spider-Man anymore? That doesn't make any sense. So he just gives up and he doesn't care anymore about saving people because MJ left him? Is that why? Like I don't understand why he just is so dismotivated. Like you see him and you look at him and he just. Now I will say this. Now I am talking a little bit of shit about Peter Parker, but what I will say, what I liked about him was he was like this sarcastic, funny guy. He plays the sarcastic, funny guy in this movie, Peter Parker, and he does it in a way that is perfect for Spider-Man to do. That it's like, you know what, I like it. And listen, I've gotten enough from people trying to saying things like, "Oh, look, it's Peter Parker reviewing his own movie," because Peter Parker in this movie, the whole reason why he even broke up with MJ was because they didn't want to have he didn't want to have kids. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why is that the exact reason why I'm afraid like half of my relationships are going to fail? It is cool and weird to see that, you know, I still get that sense of relatability with Peter Parker, even when he's like a couple years older than me. It's always cool to see and hear, but you guys got to stop. Like, you guys making the movies, stop doing that. That's annoying. But anyway, moving on. Overall, Peter Parker as a character in this movie, I will say, I wish he had a bigger role. He didn't have as much of a big role as he did. He didn't really do anything. Like, all he did was teach Miles how to web sling. That's all he did. And, like, you know, kind of talk to him a little bit. That's it. That is it. Peter Parker, and honest to God, did not need to be here. Like, he really, really didn't. Like, I bet it probably would have been better if he wasn't even there. If it was just Miles Morales. Like, I swear to God, because there's no point. There's no point to really him being there, honestly. Now let's talk about Gwen Stacy, because they actually did a pretty good, unique twist with Gwen. They did this weird thing with me where I thought that they, you know, actually had a Gwen in that universe. But I guess they didn't. And Gwen was actually from a different universe. It was actually Spider-Gwen, you know, Spider-Woman. And I didn't know that. That was actually a pretty good twist in the movie. When she saves them and all that. I was like, wow, oh, it's that girl. Like, pretty good. Now, Gwen Stacy overall in this movie, I thought that she did a good job. Not a lot of memorable moments with her, honestly. Nothing really shines too much when I think about her parts in this movie. Okay, now let's talk about Noir. Noir Nick Cage in the house. I turned to my brother and I looked at him and he said, I love that Spider-Man. And I gotta admit, Nick Cage did a good job. You did a good job, man. You got to play as Superman and you got to play as Spider-Man. Your mission is complete. Good job, man. But he did a really good job. He was actually pretty funny in this movie. I did not expect him to have such funny, great moments. Like the part where he's like they're just teaching Miles, and he's just like, you know, teaching him how to square up, and he's talking to him, and it's like, oh geez, I love it. It's so good. I want to see more of that. Like I said, that's why I would love to see a noir Spider-Man. Like that's how much I would love to see that. Like just with Nick Cage. Like I don't care if it's black and white. I'll watch it. I'll watch that. Like I'm serious. I think that would be good. It'd be really, really good. So, and then you had this Japanese girl. I forgot her name. She had like this robot and this robot spider. That's all she had. And she was basically your stereotypical anime girl with a spider woman thing going on. I don't know. It was weird. Now let's talk about Spider-Ham. Now Spider-Ham, obviously, he had some funny moments and some comic relief. A couple memorable moments with him. He did a really good job. Like I said, I would go see a Spider-Ham movie at this point because it was so funny. Like they could have made a movie about that, and that would have got that. They really could just make a Spider-Ham movie. You know, have for the kids, fun, whatever. But that could be cool. That could be fun. But he did a good job. Did a really good job. Aunt May in this movie. Aunt May was in this movie. They did have a really good moment with Aunt May and Peter in this movie. And it's really good. Like I said, they do this thing with Peter where they have all these cool, interesting moments, but then they put it in the background. Like, at first it's part of the story, and then they put it in the background. Like with Aunt May and Peter. They didn't really talk much. And then, like, Aunt May shows them this secret underground lair, and it's like, where the fuck did this come from? When did Spider-Man become Batman? And he has, like, the motorcycles, the Spider-Mobile, and the fucking spider bike. It's like, honestly, every single thing from Toys R Us, that he had down there. Like, it's ridiculous. All the tech and stuff. Okay, MJ. So, we got to see MJ a little bit. She gave this speech. I did not agree with her speech. I thought her speech was a little off about what the whole point of Spider-Man even was. And I might even make a video about that, about what the meaning of Spider-Man is, because a lot of people, I feel like, do not understand what it means to be Spider-Man. But MJ overall in this movie, she just didn't get enough. And then you had a scene, a great scene. This is a great scene where where Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is like in this like diner. And he sees the MJ of that universe, and he just kind of stares at her, and he just is like talking about like bread and shit, and it's hilarious. And it's like, I wish they actually did something with that. I wish they actually had a moment where he just is talking to MJ seriously for a moment, because in his universe, he just broke up with her. So seeing her again, it's like, even me watching it, it's like, yeah, man, I can see why he's just so, in love with this girl. They didn't do that enough. They didn't show that enough because, like I said, they're so focused on Miles that they just, like, put it in the background, never to be seen again. That is a big issue with this movie, because it's called Spider-Verse. You need to give everyone a chance to shine. That's one of the biggest problems with this movie. It does not give you the ability to show everyone shine. Go watch the Avengers movie. Everyone in that movie has a chance to shine or have a great moment. In this movie, it's lacking that, and that's an issue. All right, so let's talk about Kingpin. What is the whole plot of this movie? What is the whole point? Okay, I hope I can simplify this as much as possible. So Kingpin lost his family in a car accident because he was fighting Spider-Man, Peter Parker, with the blonde hair, and they left him. And they got in the car, and they got hit by a truck or something. They died. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, so what he's trying to do is he's trying to get Vanessa and his kid back through dimensions. That's what he's trying to do. What? He's trying to do what? Yes, that's what he's trying to do. He is trying to bend the fabric of space and time itself just to get back the love of his life and his child. That is what his goal is. Instead, not only does he kill Spider-Man, but then he fights all the other Spider-Men. Why? Fighting Spider-Man is the reason why your family left you and died in the first place. What are you doing? Again, this is one of those moments where it's like, it doesn't work. Like, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure. Spider-Man is in his way. He's in his way. But he has done no reason for him to kill him. That is one of the big things. That doesn't make sense. Like, you fighting Spider-Man is the reason why your family left. Are you a sociopath? Are you crazy? You should not be fighting him anymore at this point. You should be like, okay, I'm done. I'm done fighting you. But I need you to get the fuck out of the way, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like they don't have that. They don't ever have that. Can someone please explain to me why Miles was able to beat Kingpin? Look, really, his suit didn't get scratched, nothing. He walked away completely, like, unscathed through that fight. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you mean to tell me Spider-Man Peter Parker, for years, has fought someone like the Kingpin and has almost been killed by him on multiple occasions, and you're telling me that Miles was able to beat him on his first fucking try? Are you kidding? You're high. Like, no, that's not how that shit works. There is no cop out there. There's no way he overpowered him. That makes no sense. I don't care that he has superpowers. Kingpin himself seems like he has powers, for crying out loud. I mean, this guy can apparently lift up cars and throw cars. I mean, Spider-Man can barely lift up a regular car, let alone a whole truck, like, on a regular basis. So do you really think that it's just like Miles can just beat Kingpin like that? No. That absolutely made no sense. That also bothered me. I cannot believe that Miles was able to even beat Kingpin at the end of the day. That was just no. That didn't work. Alright, so let's move on to Spider-Man 2099. So at the very end of the credits, we got to see Spider-Man 2099, and I gotta say, it was really cool, and it was really, really cool. I loved it. It was really cool and cute. I loved it. I did not expect it to be so... at the end of the day, it just turned out to be a little funny gag, but I'm assuming that Miguel is going to have some... I'm assuming already that Miguel has some connection to this whole movie in general, so it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here, because obviously, from what I'm seeing, logically the next step is Miguel, and I hope it is Miguel for the next movie, because, you know, I'm a big fan of Miguel, and I consider Miguel to be the true heir and the next in line to be the new Spider-Man, because that's just how it is to me. Because he's done more than enough to prove in the comics and in other media that he deserves the next mantle to be Spider-Man, the main Spider-Man. And that's just what I think. So, if there's anyone who deserves to be the new main Spider-Man, it's Miguel. So, with that being said, let's finish this up by talking about the animation, the music, and my final thoughts, and then plot holes. We're going to talk about some plot holes that were really funny to think about. Alright, so let's talk about animation. The animation itself was very creative, but a lot of the times, especially at the end fight, this is where it got bad. So you got all these colors, and you got all these things kind of jumping out at you, and there was a moment in the theater where I was watching Miles and Peter talk, and I had to take off my glasses and kind of squint and put them back on, and I was like, nope, it looks blurry. like, the animation made it look blurry. Like, the animation in a lot of parts of this movie was not that great. Especially at the very end. At the very end, the colors were flying all over the place. You didn't know what was up, down, left, right. Like it just didn't feel natural. Like, it just felt very awkward and very just blinding to the eyes. It literally hurt my eyes, and it gave me a headache. This animation literally hurt my eyes. That's not cool. That's not fun. And that's another reason why I don't want to see this movie again. Because I don't want to hurt my eyes while watching this film. I don't know. So that must be what it's like to be on LSD and fucking crack and cocaine and all those other drugs. Because that's... and mushrooms, apparently. Because, dude, the amount of colors that are flying into your eyeballs is just almost criminal. It's almost criminal. And I'm already blindish. I don't need to be more blind. So thanks, movie. Alright, so let's move on to the music. I usually don't talk about music in movies, or even in games, but I figure this is a good place to start. The music in this movie was overall not good. There was a few good tracks here and there, but, like, for example, when Miles is, like, swinging around and learning how to be Spider-Man and stuff, they have this rap music playing. And it doesn't feel natural to how it should be. It should be the trumpets. It should be that type of music. It should not be overshadowed. And you can hear it in the background, but the rap music is taking over what should be louder, which is the trumpet music, which is that type of music. That music should be what should be playing, not rap music. It doesn't work, it doesn't flow well, and it feels awkward to watch the scene while that's ringing in your ears. It doesn't feel natural. Their music selection was poorly chosen for this movie, and I'm very disappointed in that. They had like one or two good tracks. Other than that, the rest they just fell flat for me and were garbage. I don't know what they were thinking, but they should have just did the trumpets or something that their own original soundtracks, because this just didn't work. Alright, so my final thoughts on this film. Well, actually, before my final thoughts, let's talk about plot holes! Plot holes! And honestly, I didn't even really know there was plot holes until I thought about it and before I actually started to have conversations with people about it. So let's talk about the very first plot hole before I get to my plot hole. So apparently, people are telling me that when Spider-Man, Peter Parker, the one with the blonde hair, when he's fighting Green Goblin, and when he's fighting Kingpin and all them, while he's fighting them, he blows up, right? Like, there's a huge explosion, and his suit's all messed up. And he has, like, this little chip in his pocket. He has, like, this little tiny chip in his pocket. People are saying, how come when he gets blown up and half his suit's messed up, that the chip doesn't get broken, but when Miles falls on the ground and lands on the chip, it breaks? And that's just hilarious to me, because it's like, yeah, you know what? How does that survive an explosion, but not, you know, Peter just blowing up? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I guess if I was to defend the movie, I'd say that maybe the blast was not in the direction of where Spider-Man was, but then again, that's hypocritical, because I'm pretty sure it was in his front pocket, and it blew up like half his face and even his back a little bit. So that is a big plot hole. How did that little tiny chip not get destroyed in the process? So that is a little bit of a, like, really? Or that doesn't make sense moment. And then we get to one of my personal made plot holes. And this is going to blow your minds, because I actually had a discussion with some people. Remember the spider that bites Miles? Remember that? Remember that it was twitching? Like kind of like the spider peoples in this whole movie? And about how they're dying and their cells are decaying. How come when the spider bites Miles and its DNA combines with Miles, that Miles doesn't start to die and decay too. Because the spider is from a different dimension. And now it put its DNA, its cellular DNA inside of Miles, and it's bonded and mixtured, meaning he should be dying. Yeah, let that sit into your membranes. He should be dying. That makes no sense. This is not a spider from his universe. This is from a different universe, and it was twitching and everything. It was dying. Therefore, how come Miles isn't dying in this whole film? That makes no sense. Because the spider, I'm assuming, was from Alchemax, Miguel. Like, it had to have been. Like Miguel's timeline. It had to have been from him, his timeline. So, this movie, just that plot hole alone makes this movie's existence not work. So, the whole movie just fell apart right there. I just destroyed the whole movie with that one little paragraph. You're welcome. All right, my final thoughts on this film. Like I said, I thought this movie was not a bad movie. I do not think that this movie is an amazing movie. I thought the movie was just, at the end of the day, okay. I thought it was okay. I thought it was an average movie at best. It didn't do nothing to impress me. A lot of people are going to ask me, Mike, is this better than Homecoming? Is this better than Spider-Man Homecoming? And my answer to that is going to be yes. This movie is better than Spider-Man Homecoming. But it's not better, but to me, it's not better than The Amazing Spider-Man 1. It's not better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yes, I fucking said it. It's not better than the first 3 Sam Raimi movies. Absolutely not. Nothing tops that for me. But I will admit that Spider-Verse has beaten Homecoming for me. Like, that, Homecoming, we're not going to talk about that. But congratulations, you took that spot. Anyway, you know, there were things I liked. There were things I didn't like. Mostly the things I didn't like obviously got the better of me. I was kind of hoping I would walk out of the movie saying that, you know, there were things I didn't like, but overall I liked it. But unfortunately, I have to say that I thought it was okay or average at best. So, with that being said, I was going to give this movie like a 5 out of 10. But then I thought about it, and I can't lie. I can't lie and say that I, you know, as a critic, I would give it a 5. But me personally, it's a 4. It's a 4 out of 10. It's slightly below average for me because there was just some things that it flat out just copies. It just basically takes the whole origin story of Miles and just adapts it and changes it in a way where, you know, for the sake of the story with the multiple spider peoples, and then the whole Gwen and Miles thing and his thirsty ass, and like at the end there they even kind of like a little hint that Miles and Gwen are going to work together again, and you know what that's going to lead into, and you know that's what I don't like. So 4 out of 10, that's just me. What else can I say about this movie? I guess that's pretty much it. Peter Parker was really good. He had moments, like I said, there were moments in this film. That's why I didn't, like, you know, completely shit on it, because, like what I did with Homecoming, because with this movie, I had moments. You know, it had moments where I was like, okay, that's cool, or oh, that's funny. Like, there were moments, but at the end of the day, it's not enough for me to want to go back and watch the film. So 4 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in the comments. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me, because I'm ready. Like I said, I'm ready. Bring it on. I'm ready for the fight. I knew as soon as I upload this video, it's going to be a war in the comments, or just flat out, just everyone's going to come after me. So, I don't care. Hit me with your best shot. Thank you for watching, and I'm out of here. Up, and away. See you guys.